I had such great coaches who really believed in me. And they're like, no, you can do this. Other people have done this. They've been in the same situation as you. You're actually not that far off from where you need to be.
My best friends don't always see eye to eye, but the respect and the loyalty is always there.
A lot of persons don't like when people push their faith out there, but I am not afraid to do that because I know who I serve. And it helps me do things.
And now that I represent Mali, it's crazy because my father supports me. Is my number one fan, you know?
So I finished my swim down and I see my mom standing outside the pool holding my clothes, and she told me, Husna, you went 1 second faster than the minimum entry time.
We're training partners. We're there to make each other better. It's easier to run with people than alone.
One of my climbing friends found the thing about, or saw a flyer, I think, for the British Paraclimbing Series, and was like, oh, you used to compete many years ago and you're competitive. Maybe you should do this.
Hey everyone, Jamie here. We're gonna try something different. We've now interviewed over 350 exceptional women athletes from over 55 countries around the world. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mash up conversation. Let's jump in.
First monobob medal, first bobsleigh medal at the top level as a driver. Well, a glorious end to what has been a tough season for Cynthia Appiah.
Yeah, my name is Cynthia Appiah, and I am a pilot on the Canadian bobsleigh team. You know, again, I had such great coaches who really believed in me, and they're like, no, you can do this. Other people have done this. They've been in the same situation as you. You're actually not that far off from where you need to be. I've seen worse drivers when they first started out win Olympic medals in 4 years. So like, it's definitely within the realm of possibility. And holding true to that fact was what kind of motivated me to get to the first Olympics in 2022. I had a breakout season the year before, and then into the Olympic season was just like on the podium every single time. Finished in 8th at the Olympics, which was a little heartbreaking because I was just like, I was so close. But now, you know, I have all these lessons. I've been driving for 7 years now. I'm going into my 8th year of driving. There's so many lessons that I've learned that have brought me to where I was this season, where this past season was by far the worst season I've ever performed at. Like, barely getting on the podium, struggling to make top 10. And, you know, it brought me back to like my first year of driving, you know, second guessing myself, questioning whether I was capable of doing this again. And then again, one of the teammates that I talked to in 2018 who convinced me to stick around and become a driver, he had since retired, and he came back this past season as one of our massage therapists and as a push coach. And
wow,
yeah, he came back and he provided me with such great insight. And I think that was when my season turned around again. And by the end of the season, I was back on the podium, finished in second place on the last race of the season, and carried that momentum into World Championships where I finished in 4th. And as bittersweet as it is to not get on that podium, it's the best performance I've had to date at World Championships or at a senior major games. And so I have to take that into consideration of like, look at everything I've done and look where I've come from. And I'm now 4th going into the Olympic Games, sitting in 4th in the world at World Championships.
Asia Hogan started playing rugby only a year and a half ago, but has already made her mark on the field.
Hogan Rochester over on the far side there, steps through.
For the Canadian women's team, it's their first time back playing on home soil since capturing a silver medal at the Olympics in Paris this summer.
Yeah, so my name is Asia Hogan Rochester. I am a Toronto born and raised native, and I now represent the women's rugby sevens team for Team Canada, and am coming off the back of an Olympic silver medal win for the country as well. We were having real honest conversations with each other, being vulnerable with each other, saying, I need help with this, I need you to do this, and really growing our foundation and relationships with each other. Also, we had a lot of players coming back from injury. So that was like myself, my teammate Charity Williams, Kiara Wardley, Taylor Perry as well. These are all people who were eventually named to the Olympic roster. But yeah, I'd say like we entered into our season at 9th place, and then the first tournament of the season, we made it to our first bronze medal match. And we fell short, but then we were sitting at 4th. Eventually, a couple months later, we ended up beating Australia at home in a bronze medal match. So then that was our highest standing, was 3rd. And then later on that year, our roster was starting to gain a little bit more consistency, and we were playing some really great rugby, and our off-field was really reflective of that as well. We were so connected. I just felt like I was going to work every day with like my best friends. Don't always see eye to eye, but the respect and the loyalty is always there, and willingness to work hard for each other was always there. And then right before the Paris Olympics in our last season, we ended up beating New Zealand, which we ended up seeing later on in the gold medal match. So yeah, it was just a matter of like reshaping perspectives and approaches to the way that we trained and really building really great foundational relationships as people together. And then just like little by little trying to get the job done throughout the season. And we still went into Paris as the underdogs. And everyone's like, oh, who knew it could happen? But we did. But we just had to work for it.
Big new facility record. Natoya Gould will win the women's 1,000.
Off and running, the favorite is Natoya Gould. Natoya Gould with the lead in the women's 800 meters. Natoya Gould coming down the home straight now.
My name is Natoya Gould Toppin. I am from Jamaica and I am an 800 meter specialist for Jamaica and I represent Adidas as well. Like, it's not a secret. Everyone know that I am a Christian and my faith is like here. God said we should leave everything to Him. So I often pray, and if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I try not to, focus on the negative. I will go in prayer. A lot of persons don't like when people push their faith out there, but I am not afraid to do that because I know who I serve. And it helps me through things. It helps me a lot. Because even as I said, like when I met in that accident, I was afraid to go to sleep because I afraid that I have an internal bleeding or something. I didn't want my husband to come off the phone. Just traumatizing. It was so traumatizing. And so all those things, and especially if I know something is going on with me, I think my confidence level is up like this because I know I'm going through something. So if I go in a race, I don't have nothing to lose. Well, I do because my sponsors are not looking at the fact that something is wrong. They don't know. But I'm like, I just need to just go there and compete. Just run the way you can run, and don't think about the negative. I always said that was one of the worst years of my life, but turned out to be the best year of my life because I was able to draw closer and closer to God that year. And from that year until now, I've never looked back. My career went up like this. 2018, I ran 1+61. From that time, I was in top 5 in the world every year. So I know it's because of my faith. And I don't know about persons, but I fear God. I don't play with that. I fear Him a lot because a lot of people, they do whatever they want and just bored with it. But I'm like, I'm not going to do this because I don't want God to beat me. But, I just love Christ. I love God. I love Jesus Christ. Jehovah Jireh. I love Him. And I don't try to force it on people, but I try to encourage people. And if I speak with you, I try to feel you out first before I throw that on you.
Totally.
And sometimes God just lets you end up talking about it. And then I'm like, ooh, and jump right in.
Tamara, who actually competed in last year's World Championships, went out.
My name is Marine Fatoumata Colette Camara. So I'm a Malian boxer, but I also have a double nationality. I'm also French. So I started representing Mali on the international stage in 2019. And I've been the only female fighter from that moment at the elite level for the country. My first coach really believed in me, so he pushed me a lot. I spent a lot of time with him because boxing was like a safe space, Mm-hmm. When you grow into difficult areas, boxing for me was a way to, release all the anger, release all the emotions that I was not able to express. So I found some comfort in boxing. I was starting to get in the French team as a training partner, but the experience I had was not good. I didn't connect with the method they had. That made me like, I don't want to continue the elite sports. But at the same time, my coach did not want to let me give up. And so one day I told him, look, I don't want to represent the French team. I love the French team, but it's not the mindset I want to have. The only thing I want is to represent Mali, because 2 years, the truth is from the beginning I wanted to represent Mali. But my coach told me, no, it's not possible. Look, they have no money. It's not worth it. You have the level to be in the French team. Why would you take so much risk? There is so much uncertainty with the Mali team. And I was like, look, coach, the reality is my parents expect more from me. So there are two options. Either I represent Mali or I go back to finance and I make my own money. So then he said, okay, let me figure it out. And that's when the Mali team contacted us. They said, we are very interested in you, because they saw me from afar for a long time, but they didn't reach out to me, but they were interested. And so they gave me the opportunity. Then I went to the African Games in Rabat, Morocco in 2019, and that's where I became the first medalist of Mali, in boxing, as a silver medalist. And after that, everything flied out, like until today, And now that I represent Mali, it's crazy because my father supports me. He's my number one fan, When I was with friends, he was like, yeah, okay, good. Now he's like, look, daughter, it's she's the best, blah, 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 So,
Husna Kukundakwe's journey to this year's Paralympic Games began at the age of 5, when she began swimming in the Ugandan capital, Kampala. Growing up living with a disability, the young swimmer excelled in the pool, using her talent to gain confidence and combat discrimination.
I'm Husna Kukundakwe. I'm a 2-time Paralympian. I take part in paraswimming, and currently I'm in Uganda, which is where I live. I was training during the lockdown, but at home I'd go on runs. I would do land walk with my coach and Zoom to try and keep up the fitness and be ready for when the pools open again. But then hearing that the games have been postponed, I was like, do I really need to keep fighting for this anymore? Like, is there anything much more fighting for? And then my mom came up and told me, she said, Husna, there is a qualifying opportunity that's going to take place around March, and we need to go for that competition in order to see if we can try it. And at the time, my breaststroke time was far, far away from the qualification standard. So I thought to myself, okay, let's make that a mission. I made it a point to cut over 10 seconds from my 100 breaststroke time to make the qualification standard. So this is around September when the postponement of the games was announced. So of course, the rest of the month I was like, on and off. Should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? So then October starts and I'm like, it's time to lock in. I started doing land work almost every other day, and then there was a small swimming pool that was near our home. No one wanted to
And you
get
had to make that on your own, right? Like, you had to drive that agreement. If you and your mom hadn't done that, this wouldn't have happened. Is that right?
Not at all. Wow. So it started just me and my mom going to that pool. But then we were still in contact with our coach. Then eventually our coach joined us there as well. But it was just single sessions at the time. So we'd go in the mornings from 7 to 9. And then I would do dry land sessions in the evening to make up for not having a double session. So call up my heat, I'm behind the block standing there and thinking to myself, it's now or never. So I finished my swim down and I see my mom standing outside the pool holding my clothes, and she told me, Husna, you went 1 minute and 36 seconds, which is actually 1 second faster than the minimum entry time. So I'm thinking to myself, no way, this is a dream come true. I have actually qualified on merit to the Paralympic Games, which is history not just for paraswimming in Uganda, but for swimming in general in Uganda. No one had ever qualified with an A standard time or a B standard time. I was the first ever swimmer to qualify for either Paralympic or Paralympic Games. For either Paralympic or Olympic Games. So that's history for Uganda, history for paraswimming, history for swimming in Uganda. I was thinking to myself, that's amazing.
Sono Giancarla e il mio record è 52.63 in 400.
Gia è una ragazza italo-americana che vive a Los Angeles e tantissimo ormai anche in Italia.
Hi, I'm Gia Trevisan. I run the 400 4x4 for Italy. And I've been doing athletics / track and field for about 10 years now. There's a girl in my group, she's insanely fast. She runs a 200, and I could go to practice and be comparing myself, but it's we all have different goals, personal goals, and I think that is most important. And I think when it comes to competing and bettering yourself or your own competition, that's the perspective and mindset that you need to have going into practice, because we're training partners. We're there to make each other better. It's easier to run with people than alone. And so it's your environment really matters. Like, the group I'm in this year is super positive. The energy is amazing every day. So people show up and they want to work. And I think that over time, I really developed that mindset where it's like just focusing on you. And it doesn't happen overnight. I think it takes time to where you know that it's really just you versus you.
True.
And mentally too, like, I think that's when we can really tear ourselves down and really build ourselves up. But I think really it comes down to focusing on the right things every day. Like last year, I tore my hamstring in January, and I wanted to do indoor season, which is January through March. And I was super ready. Like, my coach was like, "You're ready to run a PB indoor." And I tore my hamstring, and I see all these people competing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm behind schedule. I need to be out there. Like, I need to get healthy. And then that last year, I went on and had like a huge PB in the summer. So it's just, I might not be there right now, but in 3 months, like, you could be in a totally different place. And in 3 weeks, you could be in a totally different place.
Fran Brown is a woman of many talents. Not only is she a professional percussionist, she's also a trained circus artist, a skydiver, and a student of physiotherapy.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Fran Brown. I'm a Paralympic cyclist. I'm currently part of the British cycling team. And I'm also a physio. When I'm not riding my bike, I work as a physiotherapist. And I come from a background of several sports. I came to paratriathlon, and before that, paraclimbing. So I had that injury, and I when I moved to London, I got straight back into the climbing scene, found the bouldering wall to go to for the social aspect. I enjoy it. It was my keep fit. It was my gym rather than going to the gym to run on a treadmill or anything like that. And I decided that I'd get back into that because my friends are still climbing. There's nothing changed in that respect. I just was physically limited. And yeah, just was climbing for fun really, and the social aspect and the keep, like to try and get back into some fitness and shape. And that helped with my rehab. It helped me get back on my feet eventually to walk. And then one of my climbing friends found the thing about, or saw a flyer, I think, for the British paraclimbing series, and was like, "Oh, you used to compete many years ago and you're competitive. Maybe you should do this."
Flyer changed your life.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I didn't know anything about it. I went to the first one and went through the classification stuff. And then did okay that first year, got selected for the World Championships. And in between, I'd gone back to work after my accident in a couple of different roles where I oversaw some reprogramming and electrics changes for shows that were already on. My passion was to be a chief electrician on a big West End show or a touring show, and I couldn't do that. So I decided I wanted to retrain, and I wanted to retrain as a physio. But it took a couple of years to get into uni. So I needed to do a couple of extra bits of access qualifications and things. Mm-hmm. So I set about doing those. And then the summer of 2012 was obviously the 2012 Olympics and Paralympics. So I got recruited, and to be honest with you, I can't really remember how. I think I signed up to something that was a wheelchair dance introduction day that they were running for people for the volunteer ceremonies cast.
Wow.
For 2012. Okay. And I thought, oh, that sounds fun. I turned up, did that workshop, which I can't really remember much about. And then afterwards got an email saying, would you like to come to this other audition for a circus performer kind of role, like an aerialist role in the actual Paralympic ceremony. And this was a paid role. And I was like, yeah, right, I'm not doing anything, sure.
Thanks for joining us. If you like what you're hearing, please leave us a positive review. If you want to impact the future stories we tell, take our community survey in the note section of this podcast or in the YouTube links. We want to hear from you. Stay tuned for our next episode.
If you're not following the Flame Bearers channel, covering resilient women Olympians and Paralympians, hearing about their struggles, hopes, and triumphs, you don't know what you're missing. Subscribe and watch new episodes of Flame Bearers now.